I was 3, doing a family night, which is a gathering of all our friends and family. My mom went upstairs to get something, and I followed with a metal necklace in my grasp. My house has 2 levels and outlets sprinkled in the walls. Pretty casual, so I just went up the stairs. Landing 1, overcome. Walking up to landing 2. Now, apparently when I was 3, I probably knew what electricity was, but I didn't know what it did. I saw an outlet and a nightlight. An outlet with a nightlight partly stuck in it, and a 3-year-old with a metal necklace. When I was a kid, I was hurt in some awesome ways, and I want to share them with you. So here we go. In this next story, I was 5. So before I tell you about this story, I first need to tell you about the story of the Beep Beeps. So my Beep Beep clothes / jammies are basically just these, I guess, jammies that I wore, but I wore them literally everywhere. So for about 5 weeks straight, I was only wearing my Beep Beeps, except if I was taking a bath. And my Beep Beeps were getting very, very smelly, so my dad really wanted to wash the Beep Beeps, just like anybody would do. So he put me in the bath, and just like normal, I would keep my eyes on the Beep Beeps. But then when I was getting a little distracted playing with my rubber duckies and all those toys, he saw that this was the perfect moment to steal my Beep Beeps and go wash them. So that's exactly what he did. And I realized it, but I didn't want to get out of the bath, so I just kind of stayed there and was kind of mad. So my dad was downstairs washing the Beep Beeps, and he came back upstairs to wrap me in my towel and take me out of the bath. So he wrapped this towel around me very, very tightly, so tight that I couldn't move my arms, and I could just barely move my legs enough to walk. So then he went into my room and put away all my clean clothes, sorted into all my drawers, and I walked in. Just walking and still very mad. And I looked around, and I did not see my Beep Beeps. And I didn't tell anything to my dad. I didn't say anything or really make much noise. He was just putting his stuff away, and he kind of looked at me, and I pulled my head back, and I tried to headbutt my dad with my arms tied to my sides from a towel, but my dad just moved out of the way. And since I have a bunk bed, and it has a ladder, and the rung, I think it's called, which is the handlebar of like a ladder sort of thing, my rungs were square. So I was falling, and the bridge of my nose whacked onto the rung, onto the corner of the rungs, on the corner of one of the rungs. So I just laid there, and my dad thought he'd killed me. Well, my dad thought that I killed myself, but he let it happen. So he was kind of getting really nervous, so he flipped me over, and I still wasn't moving. And there wasn't any blood. But then after about a second, blood just spurt everywhere. It was like a delayed bomb. So it just spurt everywhere, all over the bed, all over the towel, all over my eyes and face and everywhere. So my dad tried to clean it up, and my sister came in and helped, and we went out into the hallway, and my mom arrived too. And she just kind of helped me into the car so she could bring me over to the ER. And that rhymed. So she just hopped into the car and brought me over to the ER. And when we got to the ER, I obviously had to stitch up my nose. And doing the stitching, I was very calm for a 5-year-old. I was just lying there. So after we got my nose all stitched up, everything was fine, and everybody was perfectly happy. Yeah. During this next story, I'd say I was about 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. But during that time, I was actually in French school. And I went to French school because my parents, well, my dad went to Switzerland and he had a hard time. I'll tell you about that in another video. But so we end up at French school. And just like most people, I had friends. And also like most people, those friends had birthdays. So I was invited to one of my friend's birthdays, and we were just going to a park. So I arrived with my sister and my dad kind of late, but when I arrived there, I kind of didn't know what anybody was playing. They were just frolicking on the grass. I didn't know what they were playing, tag, infection, whatever. So I decided that I was going to go to the super nice looking playground that was right next to where they were playing. But the thing was, there was a big lunch eating area, I think it was. So I was sprinting to the playground, and so I run into the lunch area with the tables and the big columns supporting the canopy that covers all the kids from the sun while they're eating their lunch. So I was running there, I was kind of swerving through the tables, and then there was sand. So the sand was just lightly sprinkled on the ground, and we were on concrete, so it was kind of slippery. So I was running, and I slipped on the sand. And when I slipped on the sand, I kind of turned sideways, so my body was suddenly horizontal-ish, about horizontal. And the thing was, a pole was kind of right where I was going. So I was about to swerve away from the pole, and I just turned horizontal. And my chin was essentially uppercutted by a pole, because my chin just slammed right into the pole, and I fell on the ground, and I just thought my chin hit the pole and nothing happened. But I still want to go check in with my dad to see if I was still alive. So I went over to my dad, and he looked really scared, and all the other parents also looked kind of horrified-ish in a way. But my dad just told me that I had a bunch of blood all over my chin and going onto my neck and everywhere. So I didn't quite know that, but then I touched it and I looked at my finger, and my finger was bright red. It was everywhere. So my dad recruited my sister and I to go into the car, and one of the other kids' parents, I think, gave me a napkin wrapped around an ice pack thing. So I took that with me to the ER, and my dad drove us over to the closest hospital, and I just had to sew up my chin. So it took us a kind of long time to get that done. There was a bunch of I don't know, I can't quite remember. But once they actually started sewing, it kind of hurt. At the end, when they were done sewing, my dad took a photo of my chin and showed it to me, and it looked very scary. It looked kind of similar to the stitches done on those horror pumpkin whatever's mouths. You've probably seen that in your school or something, but it looked like my chin was from a horror film, so it was pretty scary, covered, ish in blood. We got most of the blood away, but it was pretty scary. So after those, I kind of don't know how I haven't really broken a bone. Yeah, but that's 3 pretty scary times I was hurt/injured, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!